One thing that I think is significant to point out is that this last beatitude is the only one that doesn't appear to be a constant. You know, what do I mean by that? All of the beatitudes prior to this one, talking about persecution, they don't have like a time constraint. They don't have a specific time and place. Like you're just in a constant state of being. They're descriptions of the character of a believer. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the gentle, so on and so forth. It's a constant. But this last beatitude, it states, blessed are those who have been persecuted. Blessed are you when people insult you, when people persecute you, when people say all kinds of evil against you falsely. We're not going to be in a constant state of persecution. We're not. This walk of ours, this relationship with Jesus, it will be filled with many situations and circumstances. We're going to have amazing moments of joy and gladness and practical blessings, we will. And we will have tough moments of suffering and hardship, and we will also have scary moments of persecutions and opposition. This is what this life is. This is what this walk is. So with the other Beatitudes, when we find ourselves lacking in a certain area, we need to strive to make up for that lack. If we're not being merciful, then we need to repent and we need to strive to be more merciful. If we are not hungry and thirsty for righteousness, then we need to repent and we need to stoke that hunger and that thirst for righteousness. But this isn't the way with persecution. If we find ourselves not being persecuted, we don't go out and then seek persecution. The phrasing seems to communicate this, that blessed are you when this happens. Blessed are you when this happens. The word can also be translated to whenever, like whenever. So blessed are you whenever you are persecuted or insulted or lied on or slandered. So Jesus isn't communicating that this will be the constant state of your life in him, but that you shouldn't be surprised when it comes. You shouldn't be surprised when it comes. Don't be shocked if you are treated harshly. Don't be shocked if you are insulted or people start talking trash about you. Don't be shocked if people just straight up make up lies about you. But I need to make sure I'm clear about one thing. Don't be shocked if these things happen to you, but this should only be happening to you for righteousness' sake. For righteousness' sake. This is what Jesus says. You should only be experiencing these things because of Jesus. You can only blame Jesus for the persecution or the insults or the slander if you are living out what Jesus was talking about in the previous 9 Beatitudes. What am I trying to say? Don't be blaming Jesus for the persecution. Don't be attributing your walk with Christ. Don't be attributing to your walk with Christ the slander and the hate if you're out here misrepresenting the gospel. If you're out here being a jerk. If you're out here being proud and arrogant. You're not out here being gentle. You're not out here being merciful. You're not out here being pure in heart and all the rest. Don't be out here trying to claim the last beatitude. Oh, I'm being persecuted for Jesus. If you're out here forsaking the rest of the beatitudes. Does this make sense? Make sense? I hope so. Because Jesus is clear. We are blessed when we are persecuted for righteousness' sake. We are blessed when people insult us or persecute us or lie about us because of him. Not because of us, but because of him. We're representing him. We're obeying him. We're living out what we read in the scriptures. Because when we do these things, when we live out the scriptures, when we live out the first 9 Beatitudes, the natural outpouring will be that we are giving people the truth, either through our words or through our deeds, and our deeds should and will inevitably lead to words. We will be giving the truth. The truth will be communicated. The truth is confrontational sometimes. People don't want to hear the truth, especially when it goes against their worldview. We don't forfeit the truth in an effort to be received better. We don't. But we are also giving it in a way that is mindful of all that God is calling us to be in the scriptures. I did a memorial service recently, like 2-3 months ago. Somebody who comes to church here, her boss's mom died. And so I went and did the memorial service for this person. They don't come to church here. I don't know them. I talked to the daughter who was mourning the loss of her mom, and I don't know if she's a true believer. I didn't know the mom. I don't know if the mom was a believer. Most of the people who were going to be there at the memorials, it's just like a little dinner at a restaurant. I don't know if they were believers, but we are all called to preach the gospel, even in these situations where there is, a funeral, a memorial service. But not a lot of times, actually I can't say that, but I know that sometimes people have a complaint, or it's like, why are you sharing the gospel at a funeral? People are mourning. Why are you talking about heaven and hell and all of these things? And it's just like, you got to know the truth. But when I did this memorial service, I was very aware of the fact that I was going to be sharing the gospel in a place where people are mourning. And so it wasn't like, you're going to hell, repent. No, it wasn't that. You got to be sensitive to the fact that people are they're in a specific state. And so the way that I presented the gospel for that memorial service, it was very gentle. It was very compassionate. It was very kind. I laid out the facts. I didn't compromise any of the truths of the Bible. I spoke about God's commandments. I spoke about us breaking God's commandments. I spoke about the results of breaking God's commandments being sin. And then I also spoke about the cross and God's grace and his love and his kindness. And, that's how I shared the gospel. I was mindful of these circumstances. I wasn't over there being a jerk, And so if after I left, people were like, you can't believe that guy, he's spreading his religion and all, if they had bad things to say, well, that for sure is it's persecution. It's if they're insulting me, if they're saying things about me that aren't true because of the truth that I shared, even though I shared it in a way that was mindful of who I'm supposed to be according to the scriptures and the Beatitudes, and I was sensitive and compassionate and all those things, then that's on them. That's persecution. That's persecution. The only persecution situations that we are able to say, man, I am so blessed because of this persecution, is when we are behaving righteously, when we are obeying the Lord, when we are experiencing it because of our service to him, not when you are behaving self-righteously or doing things in the flesh.